Greetings, YouTube. I had a coworker ask me a question last night, out of the blue. He said, "When do you think it's okay for a good man to kill?" And yes, I actually have people asking me questions like this. I've even had people ask me if I have ever taken someone's life. I haven't. It is in fact the only of the 10 Commandments I've never broken. The other 9 I have, most of them repeatedly. So, I thought about it for a moment, and I replied to my coworker that it would be moral for a good man to kill if he had no choice, if there was no other option. And I gave him the example that if I walked up and saw that he was being attacked by someone, I would feel morally obligated to defend him. And if in the process of defending him, I harmed or killed his attacker, I would be morally justified, though guilt-ridden. And I've held that particular belief for a number of years now. And if you have an option to not kill, and then you choose to kill anyway, then you aren't a good moral person. You've made a decision based on selfishness over another person's rights. But it did provide some philosophical fuel for the evening. Because quite frankly, working in a factory on third shift can be rather dull. But I firmly believe that to cause harm to another person without their permission is immoral. To take their life without their permission is immoral. And you could be asking, when is a person going to give their permission to have their life taken? Well, they could want to die because they're ill or in pain. And I'm not necessarily going to say I would do it for someone, but I may well provide the means they could do it for themselves. Also, if an attacker comes after myself or another person, an innocent third party, that person is giving implied consent, in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure they would just really be happy if I or the other person would just stand there and do nothing. But there is an implied risk when it comes to attacking another person. So they're giving me their tacit consent by doing so. Heck, in New Hampshire, if someone breaks into my home, they're giving me consent for me to kill them. You can get away with that kind of thing here in New Hampshire. Not that I'd do it unless they attacked me. But I would make sure they stayed there until the police showed up. And there are times when harm cannot be avoided. A person's unconscious. You have to provide medical aid for them. This medical aid may cause harm. They're giving you implied consent because they're unconscious. A parent can give implied consent to have a medical procedure done if it's a necessary medical procedure. So there are exceptions to every rule. There is no such thing as a guideline that does not require adjudication by a human mind. There is no set of rules that you can just follow without thinking. There is no zero tolerance morality. All moral decisions are just that, decisions. And you have to weigh them, often under less than ideal conditions and frequently in a very short span of time. And sometimes you make the wrong choice. Sometimes you get lucky and you make the right one. So there are times, I think, that it's moral for a good man to take another life. And there are times, if you take a life and it isn't moral, then you aren't a good man.